everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Strip Back with Daisy Delight, where I am doing my very, very best to unpack the Sydney burlesque scene, one rhinestone at a time. And today with me, I have the absolutely gorgeous Frankie Fontaine. How are you going this morning?
Hello, hello. How are we?
Going well. I'm like still low key waking up a little bit, but that's fine. I got a coffee. I'm all good. How are you?
You know what? That's what I didn't do. I didn't get myself a coffee. I do have my water bottle sitting next to me, my lifeblood, but coffee I should have done.
I like that. Water's a better lifeblood, though. I feel like I don't drink enough water. Like, it's
It's my New Year's resolution actually to drink more water. No. I actually it was actually last year's New Year's resolution. This is so boring, but this is it was last year's New Year's resolution, and I totally nailed it. Not gonna lie, definitely got myself a fancy water bottle and decided to drink more water, and I'm just continuing that this year. So
oh
we're doing
yeah,
well. We're doing well.
I
We're
love that.
13 days into it. We're good. We're good.
What's the secret? Do you have one of those water bottles that has like all of the lines on it telling you to keep going?
No, so I used to, and that one actually just made me angry.
Oh,
It made me angry because I was just like, I'm really competitive, not with other people, but just with myself.
yeah.
So I would like try to beat myself every time. And then it just kept getting like more and more ridiculous. So I'd need to be like at 5 p.m.'s water level by 12 p.m. Otherwise, I like wasn't doing enough. It's just absurd. So it just used to make me really angry. And I was like, this is unhealthy. I need just a regular water bottle.
Yeah. I don't need my water bottle like keeping track of me too. I need to like, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I was like, how dare you, water bottle? How dare you tell me what I need to do? Just rude.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, I think that the fact that you're such a high achiever is a pretty consistent theme with you in your burlesque as well. I mean, when I was doing my little stalkety stalk of you, you've achieved so much within your like how long have you been dancing
Um, that's an excellent question. I want to say, what are we in 2025 now? I want to say I've been a solo performer for about 2.5, 3 years
now?
now.
Awesome. Dude, like
Yeah, so I think I started my journey in 2022. So yeah, short
God.
but long. I don't know.
Yeah, seriously, like, because the amount of shit that you have, like, achieved is just absolutely mind-blowing to me. So you've already been the Apprentice 2023 runner-up. You were the winner of the Stage Queen Intermediate 2023. You've also performed at, like, incredible gigs all across Australia. Most notably, you were at the Perth Burlesque Festival. You've done Stripping in the Name of, which is a massive achievement, Bad Girls Club, Burlesque, like, the whole lot. And also your upstairs studios and you take stunning product photos, but also beautiful photos of basically everyone in the burlesque scene in Sydney.
Wow, that is wow, what an introduction. It's all true. She's not lying. It's all true.
Like amazing. Like how do you I don't know, like how do you balance all of it?
It's a lot. I don't do a lot of sleeping, not gonna lie. There is a lot of stuff that happens in my brain. Most of it I can't share with the world. But I just call my brain one big ball of energy. It's just like constantly moving, constantly like trying to just bring my worlds together. I never want anything to be separate. Everything has to just all integrate. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm doing. It's the
You're just
only
a,
way that I can make it all work is it all has to fit neatly together.
you're just a naturally creative soul. Hey, like it just like comes out everywhere.
Yeah, I really thought that I'd be able to, have a 9 to 5 desk job. No, absolutely not. No. Never. I will never be able to, but that's okay. It's more fun this way
So you started your burlesque journey, what you were saying, like around the 2022 mark. So what was your first exposure to burlesque? Was it before then?
So my first exposure to burlesque would probably have been a lot earlier on in my life. Probably Dita Von Teese, I think most notably. I think most people have had a brush with her in mainstream media. Growing up, I was in a group of friends who really loved vintage dress and the vintage aesthetic, and Most notably, one of those people is actually Baba Valentine.
Oh,
we
no way.
Yeah, we actually grew up together. So that was really exciting. She's definitely one of the people I have to thank for getting into burlesque.
Oh.
Um, but I would say Dita Von Teese, and then, later on Burlesque the movie. I think that everyone has
Mm.
really pulled from that. But I think Dita was definitely my biggest influence because I used to have black hair back in the day.
No
People used to tell
way.
me that I used to look like her. Yeah,
Wow.
when I was in early high school and late high school. So yeah, then I was like, who is this person? I must need to know what they do. And then it was like, all rhinestones from there. I was done for.
You know what? I totally see that. I could see like you with black hair would definitely look like Dita Von Teese. I think you got Dita Von Teese, Dita Von Teese. I
Look,
think
there are
it's
definitely some photos on some Facebook accounts out there that you can, if you people want to do a deep dive, they can see me with black hair. I keep getting roused on by my family to bring it back.
oh
Apparently, it's their
really?
favorite. Yeah, apparently it's their favorite look of mine. But
Oh,
at the moment, we're just working with the blonde because we love being a blonde bombshell.
oh, well, I mean, it suits you. Like you look really, really cute with blonde hair.
Oh, thank you so much. So
Oh, stop, stop.
do you. Two iconic blondes. Name a more iconic blonde duo. Just saying.
Oh man. So, okay, so you had a relatively early exposure then. So what made you want to do your first ever burlesque class?
Um, I think that after COVID, I created my business, Upstairs Creative Studios, and I put so much of my heart and soul into that. When I first started, I mean, obviously, I still do to this day. It's like my
Mm,
pride and joy.
mm,
Um, but I think I was getting to a particularly big period of burnout after growing quite quickly and taking on all that new responsibility, going from someone who was in the film industry doing contract work to running a business. I think it was difficult for to just take it all on and continue it. And I needed a respite from that. I really needed something
mm,
to channel my other creativity into, like other creative energy into.
mm,
um but also just like not even just that. At the beginning, it was just a way to kind of escape and get my body moving. And yeah, I think I was again talking to Valerie Valentine, and she
mm.
was like, come on, like do burlesque with me, it's so much fun. Like look at all these people who are running classes in Sydney. Just sign up for one. And I was like, you know what, maybe I will. And I booked my first ever class with Kitty Law.
Icon, we love it.
Yes, yeah. So I did my first burlesque class ever with Kitty Allure and Sheena Misdemeanor in other classes. And yeah, it was incredible. Such an incredible time. And again, I was definitely done for after that. It was like, well, this is my whole personality now.
Yeah. Goodbye, money.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh boy, oh boy.
So do you remember those first burlesque classes? What were they like?
Yes, I do. I specifically will remember this. And it's funny because it's coming up for that time of year now,
Mm.
Valentine's Day and whatnot.
Oh, yes.
I remember doing this incredible uh like routine to Marilyn Monroe's I Want to Be Loved by You.
Oh,
It
cute.
was so cute, and it wasn't a performance course or anything. It was literally just like a little dance routine that we learnt in class with Kitty.
Yeah.
And I just remember her being like, when you come to a last class, make sure you dress up in your favorite lingerie or your favorite outfit and something that's going to make you feel really cute
Yeah.
um and sexy. And this is around the time where I met my partner in crime, Kiki XT.
Oh, love it.
And so we were going back and forth in the DMs, being like, "What are we going to wear? We have to coordinate outfits. What are you wearing? What are you getting for this class?" And it was just like, it was such high stakes in the moment. And you look back and you're like, "Oh my god, why were we so intent on looking like this and like having special outfits for this tiny class?" But it made us feel really good. And Kitty Allure is really good at that, making everyone feel really good and sexy and noticed in classes. So yeah, it was a lovely exposure, and yeah, the rest is history, really.
It's gorgeous. I love that you so you met Kiki in one of Kitty's classes.
Yep. First day in the class. In my first ever class, she was there. And I think by the second class, we were like getting coffee after class or getting wine after class. And yeah, it was great. Seriously, two unhinged ladies that share a brain cell.
Yeah.
And no one has eyes on it at any given time. We're like, do you have eyes on the brain cell? No. Do you have eyes on the brain cell? No. Okay, well, someone's got it. It's somewhere.
Oh, it's so cute. Like, I love your guys' dynamic. I remember I've seen you guys like do duos together and stuff where you like played into the whole like you're a girly girl and she's like a bad girl and like
Yes.
you guys are so fun on stage together.
Oh man, we've got to bring it back actually. We've got to bring the duo back. I think we want to do a lot of different things together this year. So maybe we can do that.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I love it. Every burly girl needs a partner in crime. I firmly believe that. You all do.
Absolutely. I feel like it's a rite of passage. Everyone kind of has their little duo partner.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Okay. This is quite a funny question because you've already answered this on the Burlesque Bulletin. So I'm going to give everybody a second right now, if you're listening to the podcast, to pause right now and go and listen to the Burlesque Bulletin and listen to Frankie's answer to how did you get your burlesque name. But for those of when they come back, do you want to do like a very quick, like brief rundown of how you got the name Frankie Fontaine?
Yeah, I'm just hoping that my answers don't change from one to the other. Like, is this a test? People are going to be like going to listen to the other one and then coming back to compare notes to make sure I'm like on the right track. Yeah, absolutely. So Frankie Fontaine is a bit of a combo, obviously, of two names. And I think when I was thinking about names, I was just thinking about like baby names. I don't know why I was thinking about baby names, but you know, we all kind of go through our lives and think, you know, if I was going to have a child, a small crotch gremlin, what would I call it? You know, I don't know. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? Have always loved like masculine names for femmes. Like I've
Yeah.
just always loved that power like dynamic. I just think it's so badass.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about names, and Frankie sprung to mind. But then, you know, when I thought about it, I was like, I don't know whether I'd actually ever use it for, you know, for a small crotch gremlin. But then when I was starting burlesque, I was like, you know what? I'm going to use it. I love that. I love that name. And then with Fontaine, I was on a cute date with the love of my life and in Potts Point, and we strolled past this stunning French cafe. I think it was called La Fontaine or something like that. And I just loved how the word looked. And, you know, if we know anything about burlesque queens, we love an alliteration.
Oh,
So
you do.
I'd already had Frankie on my mind, and then Fontaine came up, and it was just, you know, mashed them together. Now kiss. That's pretty much how that happened.
At risk of sounding like a little bit of a stalker, I listened to your Burlesque Bulletin episode, and I'm pretty sure you told like the story like bang on exactly the same. Commenters,
Excellent.
let me know in the comments if there were any discrepancies in Frankie's story. We'll have to get a lie detector on next time.
Yeah, feel free to at me if I made any mistakes. Oh, that's so funny. And also, I think one of the things I did say on the Burlesque Bulletin is that people also think that it's a reference to the villain in BioShock, because I'm also a little bit of a nerd. And then when that came to my attention, I was like, yes, absolutely, that is incredible. So there's also that little tidbit.
Yeah, that's so funny. I love it when like things come up and you didn't expect it. You're just like, oh, okay, Easter egg.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with it. That's definitely part of it.
Why not? Oh my God, Frankie really suits you as well, I think, because you're like a very like when you're on stage, you have like this cute sort of cheeky, bubbly personality, and I think that Frankie, I don't know, Frankie's just a really cute name. Like I think it suits you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that is part of my persona, is just being very cheeky, a bit bubbly. I think when I was like going through when I was starting the Frankie Fontaine brand, and it was just like word association, bubbly and cheeky, and all those kind of descriptive words were definitely part of that. And it kind of just all came out so naturally. So yeah, I think Frankie really suits that now that you mention it.
Yeah. So what was your first ever solo act?
Oh, my first solo act. Yeah, so that was actually my sheriff act,
Hmm.
or pink cowgirl, as many have called it, but it's definitely my pink sheriff act. To a song called "Raise Hell" by Dorothy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I feel like every man and their dog has a cowgirl act, so it was a really good way for me to step into being a solo performer
Hmm.
that was kind of low stakes. Like I didn't have to come up with this whole new concept all by myself and then also put together the choreography and then also put together the costume. It was kind of like a
Yeah.
good way to have something that already existed as a concept that people would find easy to understand, but that I could put my own spin on, which was what I kind of did with the sheriff storyline. So yeah, and I'm massive on storytelling and burlesque. It's like one of my favorite ways to tell stories. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, it kind of just made a lot of sense to me. Because I think everyone, I mean, at least most people I talk to, when they debut, it's, there's a lot of different moving parts, and
Mm.
um, it's all about putting yourself out on the stage. With a troupe, it's so much easier to go, oh, well, they're not just looking at me, they're looking at everyone.
Yeah.
But when you're a solo performer, you're like, well, how am I being perceived?
Ugh.
Um,
Yeah.
so having that kind of, yeah, low stakes entry was really good. But yeah, I do love that act so much. And the costume.
It's good. Oh my God, your freaking costume is incredible. Like I was like looking at it the other day and I was like zooming in on the rhinestones. I'm like, you made like stars out of the rhinestones and shit. Like, it's so cool.
Oh, thank you. You don't understand how many hours I agonized over the rhinestoning patterns. Like, I think half of my life is just agonizing over rhinestoning patterns and like where I'm going to place every single tiny rhinestone. And if it's like a little bit out of place, it's wrong. It's totally wrong. It's infuriating. But I do, my favorite part of that costume is definitely the chaps because I made them myself. Thank you very much.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you make chaps? How do you go about that?
Um, I feel like what I did was I made the pattern by cutting up a pair of pants that I liked the shape of, and then
Um,
just using those as the pattern for the fabric that I wanted them in. So hacks, cut up your favorite pair of pants. No, don't do that, please. Nobody do that.
oh my
So
God,
good. No, but it was fun.
that's clever though, because then you get the fit that you want, and like like a pattern out of the box or whatever. It's they don't know your body, like.
Exactly. And like at that time, I was not about to drop a bunch of money on custom costume pieces.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was like, well, at least I'm gonna have to figure it out, or I'm gonna not have chats. So,
Well, it looks professional quality, that's for certain.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That's so sweet.
I feel like I need to get rhinestoning tips from you as well at some point because like your patterns are always so intricate too. Like you really I don't know, I'm a very like basic burlesque girly. I'm very much like, okay, like I'm gonna do like the classic diamond pattern all over, or like the classic diamond, or I'm gonna do like follow the line of like any seams or anything. But you come up with these really beautiful, intricate things. How do you even go about that?
Oh, thank you. Look, it's hell up here in this brain. I feel like I'm always trying to top myself with my next rhinestoning pattern. Like it can never be boring. It can never just be what is already there. It's got to be a blank canvas, and I've got to come up with something insane, which is an insane amount of pressure to put on on myself when it comes to costuming, especially when there's so many different elements to costuming. Um, but it is one of my favorite parts about burlesque is the costumes and the vision and having it all come together, and rhinestoning is just one of those sparkly parts of it.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful like marriage of like creativity in all forms, really. Hey, I mean, you've got the performance, you've got the artistic part with the making of the costumes and like everything. It's like it's just perfect.
Yes, totally. It's so many different types of disciplines all coming together to create this incredible art form, and that's definitely what drew me to it in the first place.
So, what's your favorite act that you've ever done?
Ooh, tough question. I have a few.
Okay.
But I think if I was going to just pick one,
Mm.
I would probably say my Magic Man act.
Yeah.
And that is the act that I do with the very sparkly corset.
Yes, incredible.
The AB sparkly corset and the black jacket. It's probably one of my favorite acts for a bunch of different reasons. Obviously, the costume is incredible.
Mm.
And fun fact, actually, part of it was made by my mother. She is my like angel costume designer, and I love her so much.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's really, really cute. It's lovely. So whenever I have a new idea, I'm like, Mom, how can we make this happen?
Aw. Did
Yeah,
she
it's
make like
really sweet.
the jacket or the what part did you?
Yes. Yeah, so she made the jacket,
Aw.
and then I rhinestoned the corset, and put together all of the accessories, and also made the first stole that goes with it as well. So yeah. um, but overall, like it was one of the things that I was definitely have been intimidated by is classic burlesque, and
Mm.
it is one of the acts that I have that really does lean heavily on classic burlesque and doesn't lean on like a gimmick. It doesn't really lean on like a theme or a
Mm.
I don't know, like a discipline gimmick or like a something like that, like a cowgirl aesthetic or whatever. It really
Yeah.
just is classic and classic leaning. And I think I always knew that I wanted to lean that way for my brand.
Mm.
But actually executing a classic act is actually really scary
Yeah, for
because
sure.
yeah, there's so much history involved. And you want to be able to do it justice. And I think that in this day and age, people can often think of classic burlesque as being boring when in fact good classic burlesque is anything but. Um, so I always had that kind of playing in my mind, and being like, am I good enough to do this? Can I do this? But one day I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it together. And it just kind of all fell into place. So that's probably why it's one of my favorites. Also, I choreographed it all by myself.
Awesome.
I know. And that sounds so silly, but choreography has always been my least favorite part
Mm-hmm.
of burlesque
Mm-hmm.
because I'm although I may have grown up dancing, it's never been my strong suit. I'm definitely not one of those people where I'm like, oh, I've been dancing, since I was little. No. I was always the unco kid
Oh,
when I was in ballet class. But I love that burlesque is a place that you don't have to have dance background. You don't have to have be the most incredible dancer, and you can still be an incredible burlesque dancer. So
yeah.
yeah.
100%. That's what's so magical about the art form is that yeah, like literally anybody can do it. Like you can add in like crazy like like splits and stuff like that, but like if you can't do that, there's so much more than you can bring. You can like, it's the way that you perform. Hey, it's like what you bring to the stage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that you don't have to have all those elements to create an engaging and fun and entertaining burlesque performance. And some of my absolute favorite burlesque acts are, strut and strip. Sometimes they're literally
Yeah.
just no floor work, no crazy flip tricks
Yeah.
or anything like that. Um, it's all about how you engage, how you use your faces, how
Mm.
you use your movements, not calculated movements, but intentional movement to
Yes.
engage with the audience and take your clothes off.
Absolutely. Like I was in what was it? Servina Fox had her workshops at the beginning of this year and I was very lucky to be in one of the Sydney ones and I remember her talking about how Dita Von Teese performs and I personally haven't seen Dita Von Teese perform yet. I'm gonna go see her later this
That's
year
the
in
dream.
Vegas. very excited for it. She was
Yes.
saying, yeah, apparently, Dita Von Teese, who is like this icon of burlesque who we all look up to so much, when she's actually on stage, like a lot of it is her just like, taking off her clothes, handing it to like a stagehand and just like
Hmm.
existing and being like, I'm fucking hot shit, look at me. And I'm like, I love that.
So very that. I think that, yeah, and I think that we forget that a lot of the time, that,
Mm,
some of our major burlesque influences and, top tier people in the industry, literally just engage with their audiences like that. And Dita is the most incredible example of that. She's just out there doing her thing, being incredible, and
yeah.
not exerting any real like effort on stage from what I can see. Like,
Yeah.
not that she's not, putting in 100% effort on everything. It's just that she's making it look easy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like the amount
Yeah.
of effort that goes in to make something look like
Look
effortless,
effortless. Exactly. That's
crazy.
exactly what I mean. Yeah. It just looks so effortless when you're like, oh my God, she's done so much
Yeah.
to get to this point. It's incredible. And I want to serve that.
Oh yeah.
She's
And
the
yeah,
epitome of working smarter, not harder. You know what I mean?
for real. And I think you do in that Magic Man act, like especially like with your like, your faces. I love your faces so much, but also like the costume as well is just so fucking breathtaking. Like, oh, like you serve that. Like you did such a
Oh,
good
thank
job.
you. I think that I really wanted it to be super impactful, and I'm obsessed with lines and angles and making the costume work for you, and having it be a spectacle at every point, at every reveal. There's something to reveal, not
Mm-hmm.
only from a sexy point of view, like, we're all doing the boobs reveal, doing the butt reveal, like that kind of thing, but making sure that the costume is always got another level to it. It's got another level of interest. And um yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite parts about that costume.
Yes. So, do you have something that you would consider to be your biggest onstage fail, if any?
Oh my lord. Boy, have I got a story for you.
Love stories.
We have to know that on stage and off stage fails are all part of burlesque. I think that I had this really cocky view when I started being like, I'm going to make every single one of my costumes like fail proof. And I think I had a lot of luck in my first few performances, and definitely with my cowgirl costume. I didn't really have any costume fails with that costume. So it
Mm.
lulled me into a false sense of security when it came to fails. So then when it came to my second costume that I created, an act that I created, which is my White Witch act, which
Oh.
is semi-retired at the moment, but
Mm.
hopefully I'm hoping to bring it back
Mm.
one day. It kind of just everything went to shit a little bit, because I was so over ambitious about, I needed to have all the beads on there, and I needed to
Mm.
have, the skirt and the corset and the bra and everything, and the headpiece, and it
Mm.
was just really ambitious as far as costumes go. So when I did do a few of those performances, yeah, we definitely had some fails. The most notable was at a Fresh Meat,
Yeah.
which is an amazing. You've definitely talked about Fresh Meat on this podcast before, but
We love fresh
um,
meat.
yeah, it's an amazing show in Sydney, created by Kitty Allure and Anya Bones,
Mm.
um, where beginners and professionals can come and just test out acts, concepts, and it's such a great place to do that. The crowd is always incredible, and it always sells out
Yeah, every time.
every single time. But that time I was debuting my White Witch act in that space, and my corset laces decided to get stuck underneath my heel.
No.
So I was dancing, doing all the things, and then all of a sudden I just go, huh? And I can feel the long laces of the corset up after I'd undone them got stuck underneath my heel and I had to do some crazy contortionist moves to get them out. And I think everyone collectively went, I could just hear it in the room. And I was like, just play it off, just play it off. It's totally fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think I managed to in the end. It was wild.
How did it get down there? Like, was it just like dragging on the floor? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I think that I had just not made them short enough. I think I just left them so long because I thought it would be easier to get to in the choreography to like
Mm.
actually get back there, like get my hands back there and have something to grab onto while I was loosening the laces.
Mm.
Yeah, but it came to back to bite me in the butt because they were so long that they were dragging, must have been dragging on the floor, and I must have stepped back into them.
Mm.
And yeah, it was pretty bad. I'll never forget Peg Petite and Lady Dior's face later after the show. They were just like full of sympathy because they know, like, of course they noticed.
Yeah.
And you know, they both know how hard I am on myself about shows and performances, especially at that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like,
Mhm.
why? But no, Peg gave me some really good advice that day as well. It was
Oh
like,
yeah.
even if things like that go wrong, and even if it's not your favorite performance ever, when people give you a compliment, or you know, they say you did well, or and it's not your favorite performance and you know that you could have done better, just take it, say thank you, move on. Instead of trying to like justify a performance or excuse any mistakes or anything, just thank you so much for coming, move on. And I think that really helps you as a person, and you being me as a person, kind of not get so down on yourself about those performances because they happen to everyone, even the pros.
They really, really do. Also, freaking love Peg Petit. What an icon. What great advice.
Oh my God, incredible. I've honestly just taken so many amazing gems from so many different performers, and that one from Peg has just stuck with me ever since.
Yeah. Oh, that's really, really lovely. So, do you have a favorite costume that you've ever worn on stage?
I feel like this is just me talking about my costumes. This whole podcast is me just talking about every single one of my costumes.
They are beautiful costumes, to be fair.
Oh, thank you so much. I put a lot of hard work and effort into this, so thank you so much. Well, I guess I will talk about a different one of my costumes because it is actually one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's my Queen of Pain costume, which is my little dominatrix Betty Page inspired act.
Gorgeous.
Yes, the color palette on that costume is one of my favorites. Pink, red, and black. Oh, mwah, chef's
So
kiss.
sexy.
Yes, it's kind of a mix of DIY pieces and custom made pieces. So I think I ventured a little bit more into DIY with that costume and
Mm.
the skirt I made, and I
Oh, wow.
decided to figure out how to work with leather and leather work my own harness bra.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a design for a harness bra online. I think it was on Pinterest or something
Mhm.
that I absolutely adored. And I went to it, and the actual design was so out of my budget. I was like, oh no. If I could purchase this, I totally would, but it was just so out of my budget. So I was like, well, guess I'm figuring out how to make it
Just
myself.
making it myself now. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So like what's it like working with leather?
Um, it's interesting. I actually have a little bit. I have a lot of different skills in a lot of different areas just for no apparent reason. Um, growing up, my dad and I actually did leather work together.
Really?
I know it's just such a random tidbit about my life, but
Oh,
yeah, we learned how to do leather work together at a local leatherworking place when I was growing up. So I was like, well, I mean, if I did that when I was like 13, why can't I just make this really really ambitious harness bra myself? Totally.
love
It's
that.
a definitely a learning curve, definitely a learning curve. But I'm out there with my rivets, with my hammer and my rivets in, and it's great. It makes you feel very accomplished. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. God, what can't Frankie Fontaine do?
I just have a lot of weird skills from a lot of different walks of life. I don't know. I like just knowing things about stuff.
It's gorgeous. And I love that Queen of Pain act as well. Like the way that everything comes off too. Like it's just perfect. Like you've done a fantastic job on both of those pieces.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I
I
was
think that I really, sorry, what were you gonna
Oh no, I
say?
was just gonna say I was like really curious about like whether they were custom made or not because they really do look professional level. I was like, oh my God, if she made those herself, I would like
Thank you. The only thing on there that is actually professionally made is the corset, the split
Ah,
color corset.
yeah.
I definitely was not going to try and DIY that myself.
So fair.
And I'm glad I didn't because I do absolutely adore how that came together. It's stunning.
Beautiful. Anyone who hasn't seen Frankie Fontaine's Queen of Pain act, you need to. It is stunning.
Oh, thank you. I just love being silly and channeling that dominatrix energy. I just love it. It's one of my favorite parts about my personality. You wouldn't think it just by looking at me walking down the street, but she's there. She's in there. She really do be up in here.
So do you consider yourself to have a signature move when you're on stage?
That is also a really tough question, but I think we're all thinking it. It's definitely my
For sure.
faces.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that I've just honed like maybe 6 or 7 faces that I just can't help but do on stage at different points, and I love it. It's just so unhinged, and I feel like with every performance I do, they just get more and more unhinged
Yeah.
and more over the top, and like less sexy and just more ugly sexy. You know what I mean? Like it's just getting worse and worse. But it's amazing. It's so good.
But you take fantastic photos though, like seriously, like your faces, I think, make your photos. They are so fun to look at.
I loved doing those. I don't know if anyone's seen this on my Instagram, but occasionally I'll do a which Frankie face are you today? Because I've
Oh
got so
yes,
many so many unhinged like performance photos that I just can't post as singular posts because the
yeah.
faces are just too insane. And we out here trying to be sexy on socials.
Yeah.
So a workaround to that was which Frankie face are you today? Which emotion are you serving? And it was a way to kind of display them all in a comedic way. It's great.
Yeah. That's so creative. I love that.
You got to do it. We got to be out here creating content.
Oh yeah, yeah. On that content grind set, I know about that.
Oh, it's constant.
So, who is your biggest influence in dance, burlesque, performance, like whatever? Who are some of your go-tos?
Oh, I think that I take a lot of different uh influences from different parts of my life. So whether that be like film and screen media and production designers or costume designers in that kind of space. So kind of like from that point of view, but then obviously also burlesque dancers and those in the burlesque community that I look up to.
Mm.
But also from like a music point of view as well. I take a lot of inspiration from music and sound and um sound effects and things like that, and I think that it would be easy for me to say, oh, my biggest influences are this burlesque performer or this burlesque performer,
Mm, mm.
but really what I'm trying to do and curate in every one of my performances, photo shoots, etc., um, is really take influence from everywhere, like and all around me, and my shared experiences and my experiences from a nostalgia point of view from when I was younger and what I liked then and what made me happy and brought me joy, and as I said before, kind of bringing all of my worlds together into one um beautiful sparkly nightmare.
Uh,
But I mean, if I absolutely had to put it in like a person, I'd probably say one of my biggest influences is Maple Rose.
oh yes.
Yeah, a Melbourne-based performer. I think her tagline is still Australia's classiest piece of bacon, I think. And we love her. I think she was one of my first influences from watching burlesque. And when I saw her perform, I just went, oh my God, I need to do that.
Mm, mm,
Whatever
mm.
she's doing, I want to do that. I want to be funny. I want to be sexy. I want to be a spectacle. And yeah, definitely her.
Gorgeous. I actually haven't seen her perform yet. I need to go down to Melbourne and like check out what's going on because it sounds like they have some amazing stuff happening.
Oh my goodness, she's incredible, and she's just always coming out with new stuff, and even to you can never see any one of her acts too many times. Like every
Mm,
time I see one of her acts, I find something new in it, and I think that that's something that I've always wanted to put into my acts too. Is like I never want to make them boring or one track
yeah.
or there's always little details in there that are purposefully put there so that when you watch it again you go, oh my God, I didn't see that last time, but I've seen it this time and I get it, and that makes sense, and that makes sense. And that's something that I definitely see in her performances. I mean, I think I've watched her tank fans act on YouTube like 1,000 times.
I'm gonna be looking that up now.
Just quietly, it's like one of my favorite acts of hers to watch, just because it's so incredible, and her fan work and technicality is so incredible, but her faces are incredible, and yeah, I just can't sing her praises enough.
Oh, that's really gorgeous. Okay, well, I'm definitely doing my homework after this. I need to watch some of her acts and see what it's all about.
Please do. I would definitely suggest that everyone do that because yeah, she's a powerhouse.
Now, do you have any advice for new performers?
Ooh, yes, I do actually. I was thinking about this question. Um, I think that one thing that we don't think about enough, um, and this definitely comes from my photography background, and I'm obviously still working on this as well myself, but one of the things that I love about live performance and also photography is lighting. So lighting is
Mm.
so important to making a show spectacular and setting the mood, and we literally wouldn't be able to be seen on stage if there weren't lights on, you know what I mean? So I think that people, it's easy to get caught up, especially when you're a new performer, being like, okay, is my costume right, is my choreography right, and we kind of let lighting slip into the background because it's just not something that we think about, and I'm guilty of that too, especially being a beginner.
Mhm.
But one of my biggest uh, pieces of advice is think about what lighting cues and what lighting colors and how you can use lighting to your advantage on stage and from a performance point of view. Make friends with the lighting people at shows that you're performing at. Talk to them, get some info on how their lighting desk works and what options you might have, because they love showing off, and most of them love showing off. They love talking about their skills and they love flexing them. So definitely think about that when you're applying for shows.
Hadn't even considered that, but that's a really, really good point. It's so true.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like in Sydney it can be difficult because a lot of our venues can be somewhat limited as far as lighting goes.
Mm.
Um, but when you do get the opportunity to be on a bigger stage, it's great to have that knowledge so you can go, yep, I know exactly what to do. I'm going to talk to a lighting person. I'm going to have this color on the background, this color on the foreground. This at this timestamp I'm going to make this one, like, so because I know that I've been caught out when I've been like, oh, but I'm so used to these small stages, I don't need to
Mm.
think about it. And then when you get to a bigger stage, you're like, I didn't even know it was an option, I
Yeah.
didn't even know it was a thing I could do. So
Yeah.
don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on lighting techniques. It's very interesting.
I love it. It's like kind of like the next step in making it a whole like immersive experience, hey.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing, right? We're trying to tell the story that we want to tell to the audience, and it's just one of those tools that you can use as a storytelling uh tool. Yeah, it's amazing.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we are getting towards the end of the interview. So before why am I speaking like that? I'm going before. Weird.
You're just trying out a new Daisy voice,
Yeah.
it's fine.
It's my new
You're just testing it
podcasting
out on me.
persona. Yeah. So, do you have anyone in the scene right now who's doing something awesome? Any cool shows coming up that people need to watch? Just like who's shout someone out? Who's doing good stuff?
Oh my God, there's so much going on. And the beauty of it being so early in the year is that, the year is just a blank slate for so much incredible stuff happening.
Mm.
I think particularly I'd love to spotlight Simply Burlesque. I don't know if you've heard of that, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Friend of the show, Forest Green.
Yes, you've actually, in fact, had the producer on this show before.
Yeah.
Forrest Green is an incredible performer and producer who produces Simply Burlesque, and I would say definitely gave me a bit of a shot early on with their performances in Penrith. I think Simply Burlesque was one of my intros to roving burlesque, and I just fell in love with it there. And Forrest trusted me to do 2 acts at that show, and I think the rest is history from a roving point of view. It was like, well, I love this
Yeah.
So Simply Burlesque is has some big things coming up for 2025. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And also not from a show point of view, but from a costume and lingerie brand point of view, I'd love to shout out Midnight May.
Yes.
Again, a friend of the show.
Yeah.
I'm shouting out everyone you've already had on the show, to be honest.
We love them. We love them.
We love it. We love it. We love it. But Midnight May is an incredible performer and costume designer, and she's made a lot of pieces for me.
Mhm.
I think every time I slide into her DM, she's like, "Oh, good God, what's next? What fresh hell have you cooked up for me, Frankie?" But she's also hoping to start her own burlesque themed lingerie brand, which she's definitely teased on her socials. So everyone's sliding to her DMs and be like, "Yes, please do it. Come on, let's do it." Because we absolutely need to see a size inclusive lingerie brand come out of Sydney for sure.
Oh, sure, 100%. Yeah, I saw her teasing that too, and I was like, wow, this is so cool because she was also saying stuff about how like she wants to make it like very burlesque focused too, and like because like we're taking things off, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're so smart.
Exactly. Made by performers for performers. I think that that's so good
Yeah,
because you need to have something that is going to come off easily, but also look really beautiful.
yeah. It's a lot harder than what it sounds. Hey, like you think, oh, we take off clothes every day. It must be no, like seriously, like taking off clothes on stage is another beast entirely.
It really is, isn't it? I think people totally underestimate how difficult it truly is to take your clothes off in the span of like 4 or 5 minutes.
Seriously.
Like, are you kidding? Like at home, it takes me like 60 seconds to take my t-shirt off, take my like pants off or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
no worries. But why does it take me a whole 5 minutes
Yes.
to get all of this like crazy stuff off? It's nuts. It's a lot harder than it looks, guys.
Absolutely. All right. So now we're on to the self-promo time. Is there anything that you are working on right now, Frankie, that the listeners should be aware of?
Well, there's definitely some exciting things in the works for me for 2025. I am continuing to do my weeknight photo shoot sessions throughout the year, which people can book with me through the link in my Instagram bio or Facebook bio, actually. I think I have the link in there as well. But I absolutely love doing, my burlesque portraits and taking photos of everyone in the scene. It's like my goal to just capture every single person that I can and tell their unique story behind the lens. So that's definitely something that I'll be continuing to do this year. But on a little bit of a different note, Kiki XT and I may or may not be stepping into the producing space this year.
Oh,
I can't say too much, but definitely keep your eyes peeled for updates very, very soon.
and that update is now. Hello, everybody. This is future editing Daisy here, letting you know that Miss Frankie Fontaine herself has actually given me the all clear to give you the dirty details all about this new show that's coming out. So it is called Hot, Heavy, High Voltage Metalesque, and it looks like it's going to be a freaking amazing time. Their first ever show is going to be on Friday, the 14th of March at the Lady Hampshire, and you can get tickets ranging from VIP treatment all the way down to budget standing tickets. So there's really something for everybody. Don't be a gronk. Buy yourself a ticket. It looks freaking amazing. I know that I'm definitely going to be going along. Anyways, back to the show. Ooh. for being on the show, Frankie. This has been a blast.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. This has been incredible. Thank you so much for having me. I feel like I've just bared my soul out to the world.
Hey, well, you're welcome back anytime, anytime you want.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so
Hey.
lovely to hang out.
Yeah, totally. And I'm sure I will see you around the scene sometime very, very soon.
Of course, naturally.
Yes. Anyway, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.